Surely some of them would have died, but the event would have been over much more quickly because they would have been able to defend themselves. You don't understand that. But guns actually work. That's why your police have them. And that's why your soldiers have them. Guns actually work to stop terrorism. It's the only thing that works. Bombs, guns. Now, look, how does this all end? Let's cut to the chase. I've spent almost 2 hours now trying to educate you as to the danger you are in because you have a psychotic in the White House. You have a zero government that doesn't represent not only the will of the people, but the sanity of the people. The people are far more sane than the lunatics running this government. From top to bottom, it's a corrupt, psychotic government. They tell you don't need borders, you don't need a language, you don't need a culture, and they embrace everyone else's borders, language, and culture. Okay, well, in addition to being crazy, they're also probably seditious. But let's put that aside. How does this end? How does it play out? Okay, so let's put our thinking caps on. I gave you the Eminem analogy earlier. That means close the borders. That's number one. That ain't happening under Hussein. Hussein's not closing the borders. If a guy was caught at the border with a dirty nuclear weapon in a backpack, he'd tell you that they all come here to work. He would not change. One iota of his psychosis would be altered by it. Now, one iota. Okay, so how does this end? How it ends? There's going to be a number of attacks in this country, as we've been told over and over again by our great intelligence services, who, by the way, have the power to stop it yesterday. They have 1,000 people under a watch list. I know that they're not white Irish nuns in their 80s in wheelchairs. They don't look like the people who are harassed by the TSA. They could yank them all in right off the streets like the French are doing. Pull them in their underwear with their behind showing like the French did, breaking down doors and yanking them out, and then finding it have vests and machine guns and grenade launchers. They know who they are. But their hands are tied by who? By Marvin from the ACLU. Marvin, the smart boy who went to law school. Oh, my Marvin. What a beautiful boy. He went to law school. He's so smart. He works for the ACLU. He stops those fascist police with the guns. Oh, my Marvin. What a beautiful boy. Marvin. So Marvin from the ACLU actually prevents DHS, CIA, FBI from doing their jobs. They even know who the bad guys are. They know where they live. They know where they worship. They probably know what weapons they have, and they can't stop them because of Marvin, the genius from Harvard, the genius who was so bright in school that he went to Harvard Law. So how does this end? Bombs go off, people die. Eventually, the war gets escalated. More bombs around the world, like today in Mali. Around the world, more bombs by more mad Muslims, until eventually we get a leader who will act like Truman, and he will wipe them off the planet, killing many innocent men, women, and children, along with the rats who are destroying the world. Because you see, they have a nation now. For years I heard from people who call us shows saying, oh, you can't attack them with the military. We don't know where they are. They're everywhere. Oh, is that true? Now it's called Islamic State. They have an actual nation with a land area the size of Britain. Now we know where they are. She said, well, you want to kill everyone in there? I didn't say that, did I? But you're going to have that Hobson's choice in your lifetime. Mark it down, I said it today. You're going to have that Hobson's choice in your lifetime, no matter how good you are, no matter how liberal you are. You're going to be asked by a leader, was I wrong or was I right? Because he will do it. We're going to get a wartime leader as sure as I'm sitting here. After America bleeds over and over again. After the Statue of Liberty is tattered and blackened with soot. We'll get a wartime leader. And they will do what needs to be done to wipe them off the planet. And then he will ask you, that leader. He will come before America and say, I had no choice. Was I right or wrong? I hope you say I'm right. Because God knows I didn't want to kill innocent men, women, and children, but I had to do what Harry Truman did in World War II to stop this scourge before they destroyed the whole planet. And I think that's all I should say this day. When I come back, I'll take some calls. Be here.
Join the Savage Nation. Call now, 855-400-SAVAGE, 855-400-7282. Savage.
Hey, our Savage Nation is sponsored by SwissAmerica.com, the only company I trust for wealth insurance, gold and silver. Call 800-BUYCO. Welcome to the Savage Nation. So I'm reading an email from a reader of my Facebook page. And he's an active duty Army. His name is Chris Hall May. He's a medic, and he talks about child rape as endemic amongst the Muslims in Afghanistan, the abuse of children as endemic even amongst those who are educated. It's part of their culture in Syria. How Syria is the ground zero for a lot of the terrorist weapons. And then he writes this. He says, we found Syrian passports during many raids, and people out there want us to let these people into the U.S., with our kids and near our wives, near our schools, near our churches, synagogues, malls, places where we should never have to fear being blown up, shot, kidnapped, and tortured. Don't forget what they did to the Egyptian Coptic Christians or the Jordanian pilot. Don't forget what these do to rape victims. They stone these women to death for being raped. They behead their own people. Do you think they will show mercy to you? And then he writes this. See if he's lying. Look at the rape statistics in Denmark, Sweden, Belgium. Facts don't lie. 97% of rapes committed in Sweden were committed by Muslim immigrants. And you want 10,000 of these people here? He said even if just 1% of these so-called refugees turn out to be ISIS supporters or active ISIS terrorists, would that be acceptable to you? He said, I want you to understand. And remember, he's an Army vet and a medic. He said, I am not condemning Islam, and I'm not condemning Muslims whatsoever. I know a lot of really great Muslims. Many of them I would trust over Christians that I know. What I'm condemning is the potential for a terrorist attack right here on our own soil. And the only way to prevent that from happening is by not allowing any potential terrorists into the country, and then that's just what we'll have to accept. I'm giving my experience, he says. He said, I know that potentially out of 10,000 of them, only 10 will be bad people. But I would rather have those 10 people not be here than the 10,000 here, and those 10 people to be among them. And that, my friends, is your decision to make. And yet you're going to sit here and go on with your values, and we're better than that, and the garbage that you hear from Fox News. When are you going to wake up? Remember, one bomb can ruin your whole day. It can really destroy your cappuccino. One bomb in a cafe can really upset that fine Chardonnay you just opened. One bomb can really upset the rave you're at. Do you understand yet what danger you are in? No, not yet. You won't. You won't until it's impossible to do anything about it. The United States right now has a population that's only about 1% Muslim. Do you know what the population is of Muslims in France? 8%. Did you know that? Sweden, 5%. Switzerland, 4.3% Muslim. The liberal, multicultural Denmark, 5.5%. How did that happen? How did the Muslim populations grow so rapidly in these liberal, forgiving, tolerant nations? Oh, yeah. And it all works out in the end, doesn't it? If they reach a certain point in the population, expect ethnic cleansing and genocide. Bangladesh, Muslim, 83%. When they gain control by numbers. You'll find out, and it won't be the peace of Dar es Salaam.
Warning. The Savage Nation contains adult language, adult content, psychological nudity. Listener discretion is advised. And now, America's most exciting radio talk show, The Savage Nation, home of unprotected talk, borders, language, culture. And here he is, Michael Savage.
The way I began it, which is playing the French national anthem. There are cousins, brothers, sisters, aunts, uncles. And the fact of the matter is they're basically going it alone with the help of Russia and not with the help of the United States. We are not there for them in their time of need. Strangely enough, they had to turn to Russia to help them, let us say, get even with those who did that to them. And look at this, they're bombing in Syria. Isn't that odd? Obama says that Syria has nothing to do with terrorism. Syria has nothing to do with ISIS. I guess the French prime minister is insane. I guess that the president of Russia is insane. They're dropping bombs in the wrong places. I don't know. Obama must know where the source of this madness and evil is coming from. It certainly isn't from Syria. And yet, who knows? The French are doing it. They're bombing Syria. The Russians are bombing Syria around the clock. Maybe Putin and the leader of France, Holland, will be held up for war crimes by the UN. Those who want to flood this country and the world with Muslims. Maybe they'll be held up for war crimes after Sharia law is established. You never can tell. You never know how it's going to work out. So I think I've done my job very well today. I show you the madness of our government. I show you the madness of the media. I show you the danger you're in. And I now open it up to you, the caller of the Savage Nation. Gary on WABC in New York City. You've been holding a long time. Go ahead, please.
Hello, Dr. Savage. I'm a licensed psychologist in the New York City metropolitan area. I have a little different viewpoint. I think that Barack's real father figure has been Reverend Wright all along. Barack's own father was very dysfunctional, was thrown out of universities, was a philanderer, and that Barack Obama has to and has been indoctrinated by the philosophies of Reverend Wright, which is to oppose the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of the United States.
Yeah, but he does well, that Reverend Wright. He lives in a multi-million-dollar home in Chicago, that phony, lying, two-faced SOB, that America-hating rat. He does real well, lives in a big brick house in Chicago, and spits on the America that gave him so much, that double-talking, phony reverend. But okay, I get it. No, I think it's Franklin Marshall Davis who's his real mentor. People say that that's his real mentor, is Franklin Marshall Davis, a black radical from Chicago who was the real mentor of Obama. That Reverend Wright was small potatoes compared to him.
Okay.
So in other words, we're saying the same thing. But, look, there are people who grow up one way, and then as they develop and evolve, they change. Some people are radicals as they're younger, and they get older, they wake up to the stupidity of their earlier years and their views, and they evolve. Why can't the Obama evolve into an actual American who wants to protect the country? Why has he been unable to evolve?
Barack Obama's hatred of the United States of America has been solidified by his role model, his father figure, Reverend Wright. And it won't
but you're not answering my question. That was your first point. And I said, point well taken. But I'm asking you why the president has been unable to evolve as the world has emerged in his own eyes. He's seen what they're doing. Why can't he change his worldview?
He's been so indoctrinated, and he agrees with the philosophies that have been taught to him. He is not open-minded. He is not willing to accept anybody else's point of view. And this is his true belief in his heart.
Okay, I've heard it before. So by definition, how do you define an individual who is so rigid in their thinking that even the facts can get in the way of their reality? What do you call that kind of person?
He may have a disorder. He may be obsessive compulsive in his thinking.
Oh, but you said initially as a psychologist, you said that he's not psychotic. I'm saying he is. I say he's evidencing all the signs of a mild psychosis, if not a major psychosis. But he is so able to pull the charade over and over again that he doesn't change his ways because nobody can get through to him. Nobody is allowed to criticize him.
He could be paranoid.
I don't know what he is, but look, my solution is this. We're in a time of war. Another bomb went off today. More people killed by radical Muslims. And he goes on with the story that the Muslims have nothing to do with it. Of course they're killing other Muslims. But it's Muslims killing other Muslims, so why bring in any Muslims? That's all. The Christians didn't put the bomb in the marketplace or in the hotel over there. Okay, my psychologist friend, you get a free book today, Government Zero. God knows if all the books in the world can change the mind of the West before it's too late. I don't know. If 1 million books were distributed for free over this Thanksgiving to conservative homes, and you say to you, okay, I'm giving away 1 million books, which I'm not doing, and you give them to a liberal friend, do you think it would change their mind? They wouldn't. Nothing will change their mind. Nothing will ever change the mind of a progressive. They're closed-minded. They can't learn anything. It's ironic they consider themselves open-minded and superior to conservatives, yet they're incapable of learning even from world events. One slaughter after another, one bombing after another, and they won't change their viewpoints of multiculturalism, open borders, America no good, Christianity evil. The same mantra. Gunmen shouted Allahu Akbar as they stormed the Mali Hotel. Majority of Americans say the U.S. is at war with Islam. They call it Islamic terrorism. It's a poll that just came out. Majority say, 60% says the U.S. is at war with Islamic terrorism. Hillary Clinton says we're not. Obama says we're not. Kerry says we're not. DHS says we're not. FBI says